To say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
Kelsey
and
Lincoln
justice for all.
has joined.
Consider for approval minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and agenda as presented.
I'll second that. A motion by Derby and seconded by Smith to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We need to wait for Bill.
Aye.
Good job, Bill, thanks.
Little bit.
9 a.m. discussion with possible action regarding social services for Winnebago County. Discussion?
You must be Cindy.
Yes, I'm Cindy Davis, the Executive Director for North Iowa Community Action. So I know that Terry, you had gotten a hold of me, and then Bill had left a message for me yesterday as well, so I sent an email just responding that I would be here today to present information.
Has joined.
Worth County had gotten a hold of me a couple of weeks ago to discuss about the, I know the Hancock County had pulled out of your agreement that you had for your relief guidelines, and so they had contacted us to see what kind of services that North Iowa Community Action provides. And in looking at the agreement that you have, as I had told them, many of the items that you have that you provide for relief for low-income individuals is also something that North Iowa Community Action provides. I know that Sandy would contact Lori Smith, who has an office right here on I Street, to be able to provide services to individuals. So when you're looking at food, we have a program that we can assist with food. We have shelter. We have a housing program that provides individuals with rent. We also, it's a case management as well. So what we have found is working with individuals and helping them with financial literacy. A lot of times they're not even needing the rent money. They're just needing financial literacy to get all of their stuff in order. But we do have funding to be able to assist with that as well. Utilities, we have our low income energy assistance program, our LAHEAP program that provides utility assistance for that. That has just ended at the end of April, and now we're into crisis, and so it's also providing assistance during the summertime as well for those energy bills. Medical services, that is one thing. It says assistance to be made for prescriptions. We do not currently provide that. So if that is something that you would like us to do, we can. Every individual that comes into our program, we ensure that they are eligible based on their income level. Depending on the program, every program is different, but most of them will go up to 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So dependent upon that, here's our brochure that shows all the different services that we do provide. So we do make sure that they do fall into those guidelines for whatever program it is that they are asking for. For funeral services, another one that we do not have funding for. So if you would like for us to do that, what we would do is any funds that you provide, we put into a specific funding account, and any Winnebago County clients that would come into our doors that are requesting assistance, we ensure that they qualify for it, and then we would use those funds only for the Winnebago County residents. We'll be doing the same for Worth County as well. And so they are earmarked specifically for those members. But we do, if you look, as you see in our brochure, there's a lot more that we do provide. And if we don't provide the services, we do referrals as well. We also have other funding sources available to us. One would be like the Catholic Charities. If we've exhausted or they don't qualify specifically for us, they could qualify for some funding from the Catholic Charities. So just dependent, but it looks like you are at 100% poverty level. So anybody that is at that 100% poverty level would be eligible for all of our services. So I have some home visitation services. We do a lot of case management. You know, we have WIC, we have the family planning, we have living with HIV, maternal health, child health. We have an I Smile program. So, Sandy, I know, utilized us as a referral for any clients coming in. So we would be able to do the same if that is something that you are interested in. I know, Terry, we kind of talked, and we're already doing the services, so we're not asking for something to house a person. That's not what we're asking for. We're just saying that anything that you want to provide that we currently don't, we would just need funds and earmark that. We can then, at the end of every year, let you know how many people requested those funds and how much they received based on what your guidelines are, because that's what they would be, is your guidelines for those services. So it's just dependent upon how you would like to do that.
So the two basic ones are the prescriptions and the funeral.
Those are the two basic ones that we don't provide for services, but, food stamps, if, for somebody, to be eligible for that, we'll help fill out the forms. I mean, we do a lot of that stuff, so we don't provide the SNAP, but we will help them, to figure out that system.
Did we have it broke out in the budget as far as, some of those services, the prescriptions and funeral services?
That's something I would have to look up. I don't know off the top of my head.
Remember.
I don't believe so. I don't believe there's a separate line item for that.
And I do know that the sheriff was at the Worth County and asked, because one thing we don't do is, I know one thing that Sandy did that was probably above and beyond was providing assistance if they had somebody that was needing mental health services or,
That was kind of a carryover from what she used to do.
Yeah, I think it was more not what her job description was, but it was, right. But we do have relationships with VG Clark and with Prairie Ridge and Mercy, and working with all of those programs as well, so.
You remember what social services?
25.
We did have a line item for prescriptions and medicine.
And I will say, what we normally do is we're not providing the funds to the individual, but the bill we would pay the bill that comes in, so we're paying Mercy or pharmacy or whoever it is what we're paying, so we know that it's actually going to where it needs to be. Same with funeral services, whatever that might be, we would put it towards, we would just have to have an invoice to be able to pay off of.
Have you made any connection with anybody in Hancock?
Bill was gonna do that.
Oh, Bill was doing that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Bill, did you?
Yeah, I talked to Gary, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet on whether their public health or the hospital would want to do ours too. So it's possible, but doubt it. And he hasn't gotten back to me yet on whether
Well, I guess I'll give you my opinion. It looks like this is a perfect match for what we need. They're already here within a block from the courthouse. It's not like we're relocating a long ways away. You're open 4 days a week over there?
Yes, so we have somebody in there 4 days a week there in Cassuth County the other day. Mhm.
So,
And we do have an 800 number, so if they can't if they can't stop in there, somebody will pick up that 800 number in any of our 9 counties and be able to assist somebody. We do a lot of online applications as well for our services.
the tough thing to look at on this budget, this is a 3-county budget, so it's like, we have to almost look at what we want to redo the budget as.
The only thing that's the 3 counties though is the salaries, the prescriptions and that stuff is just our county.
How about the funeral?
That's just our county.
Oh, okay.
The only thing that's all 3 is the salaries and
Oh,
so,
and the insurance and.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you have a regular, if you have a run of how much you've spent in those specific areas over the last couple of years, so you have an idea of what you would like to put in that. And the thing is whatever you put in there, we can carry over from year to year.
Okay, that's
You know,
my next
yes,
question. was
yes,
where
we
would
can
that money go?
absolutely, because it's gonna have its own fiscal account.
Okay.
And so whatever you put in there on a yearly basis, it'll just get carried over from year to year. And we can provide that information at the end of the year, how many people access it, how much they received, and what you have left over, so you know on a year-to-year basis.
As long as it's not like mental health where they come in and sweep the funds when you're not using it.
Oh, no, we would just carry it over, no.
That's a tongue in cheek, because
Yeah.
it's happening all the time with the state.
Oh, no, we wouldn't do that. It would just get carried over. And that way, at least you have an additional, you just never know when they're going to need it. And, if we end up going into a recession, you have more people that are gonna need more assistance. Not like they don't
Right.
already with everything right now,
We're just
but,
talking about all the funerals right now, and it's like, I don't think any of those would need this assistance, but
Yeah, it
Right.
goes in waves sometimes.
yes.
yep. So I would imagine, I believe, because I know we've had some conversations at state level, that we probably still require a 28E agreement for what it is. And then you just need to spell out what you want that max to be. And if you're still going to just go with the 100% poverty level, or if you want to raise that to up to the 200%, the choice is yours. Or, and if you want to do a tiered approach as to what they would be eligible for based on their level of poverty, there's lots of different things that we can do, and I'm happy to assist in any way that I can. It's, we're providing the services already.
Right.
Like you said, we're already here in the county.
So Lori Smith is the.
Lori Smith is our outreach worker currently here.
That's
She's
here.
Yeah.
And what days is she?
She's there every day but Thursdays.
Okay.
Yep, and then we have WIC clinic that comes in there a couple times a month, and we have family planning that comes in there a couple times a month, so, we see quite a few people coming through the doors.
Well, I think it's worth pursuing this. I think we just have to set up the budget,
Absolutely.
how it would work, and I think otherwise,
I don't think we're gonna find a better fit for what we need. I think.
Yeah, so are you, what is your fiscal year?
it's July 1st.
July 1st, okay.
But the agreement between the three counties ends June 1st.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of puts the pressure on us.
Sure.
We gotta do something. We might be able to get by till, July 1st if we have to, but
Mhm.
I don't know how that works when the agreement goes
How
away.
does that work when the
We have the
agreement's done?
budget, but
That's a Kelsey question.
yeah.
Kelsey?
Kelsey, are you on?
I am. Yep. We would just have to fund. I mean, we just wouldn't get reimbursed, obviously, from the other counties for that month. So the expense would be all ours for the month of June if we waited till July 1.
Okay. Well, I guess it kind of depends on what your comfort level is of getting the agreement together. And I mean, I'm sure we can come up with numbers by next week of some sort. We can.
I mean, they're not
Discuss it.
written in stone at that point. I mean, we can make changes after and
Yeah.
the fact, right?
Because we were just looking at, this year's budget, but I can look back and see what the,
Yeah, I don't know if even Sandy had kept any documentation as to how many in the county utilized those areas. I don't know. I don't know what your budget, I haven't looked to see your budget lines or anything to see where you're at with spending and, for those areas. If you had any of that documentation, that'd be great, because that kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at to put in there for line items.
are you able to run any reports like that for that department?
Basically, it should be just right there.
But I mean, this year might be a little more reflective of what's been going on. I know wasn't she concerned we were over budget this year already?
I don't know, I can have Chris run out a report quick.
Yeah, I'm happy to assist however, and, I can reach me anytime, and we can bounce it back and forth, and
How do you reach the clientele? How do they just know where to find you, or, I mean?
well, we have a webpage, we do social media, we put a lot of stuff out there within Facebook, and And a lot of it's word of mouth. If somebody's getting assistance and they know somebody else, the schools are very much aware of our services. We have actually a Head Start classroom in Forest City School. So we're right in the school serving, I think we have 18 students in our classroom there, and that's at 100% poverty level. But a lot of times, it is by then word of mouth, people that know that we have those services, but.
The one thing we talked about, we would maybe have a link on our website.
Yes, and I think that would be a great idea, because you already have these services, so if you have a link to say if you need assistance, contact, and it's just linked to our website, because if you get on our website, then it tells you everything, all of our services and.
That's what my concern was, they're used to coming here, how do we make sure that they get referred?
Right, I mean, we can put it on the website if you need any kind of, if you need more brochures for them. If we need to do up something to where it's just a flyer with a QR code that has the address, we need to know. It won't take long before they start realizing, and
Figuring it
a
out.
lot of them, Sandy referred to us anyways. So they may have started here, but they were referred to us, so they go block down and go and see Lori. We can do whatever it is that we need to do to get that out. If you have public TV station here, we can put something on the public TV station, on the radio. I mean, there's all different kinds of things, however you want to put that out there.
Yeah. Seems to me to be a perfect fit. We can just get some numbers.
So the first thing we probably have to do is we come up with an agreement between us and along with the budget. And, I think we could probably get that going. Just depends on when the start time is going to be.
Sure. Yeah, and I would just, if you're putting that together, just, I'm happy to come at the end of the year and let you know exactly where you are, where you are at. So you know how it's being spent, and, we do that when we collect the demographics. We can do all kinds of things where we provide all that documentation to the state.
Okay. So I don't think there's going to be any action
I don't think we're ready to take the action
today, but
I think we were all. Bill, are you okay with moving forward towards Mateo as our representative for this?
Yeah,
I'm assuming that was a yes.
that was affirmative.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I felt it.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll start getting the paperwork
put 'em
together
on
on that and
in my office on the table.
what it's going to take to transition over. We look forward to working with you on
And
that.
I sent an email to all three of you, so you have my email address, you've got hold of me by phone, so,
Right.
great, wonderful,
Okay, well,
thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
You bet, not a problem, good day.
We're going to move to 3, Scott Minders, engineer with,
This is the report.
oh,
Oh,
This is Kelsey. Do you guys need me for anything else on the agenda today?
I don't think so.
I didn't see anything else that stuck out, but Carla can text me if you need me to hop back on.
thanks, Kelsey.
Unless, the only other thing I see is on the discussion for the RFP.
and that's just for you, because I want to ask you where you want me to send them to.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
I mean,
guys.
I can stay on.
No, I don't think you need to. We'll let you know if we need you.
Okay, and then I assume you guys will give me some information for that 2080 agreement when you get a chance?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm guessing it's gonna look a lot like Worth County's.
Right, yeah.
Do they have theirs put together?
I think so.
Okay. Can you get a hold of Jeff and get his?
I can. I doubt it was Jeff that put it together, but I will reach out to him and find out.
My guess is
Okay.
that Nikeo probably already had agreements with that.
As a,
Okay,
yeah, that would be my guess. But I'll find one and work off that once I get numbers and everything from you guys.
Okie dokie.
So,
Thanks.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Scott,
Kelsey Bankin.
Has left.
Yes.
secondary roads.
General update, we got our crushed concrete pile completed out there at Yon, the 5,000 ton pile, so the guys are spot loading from that pile right now. As long as conditions are fit, everybody's blading. And the mini hose running around the county doing little tile intakes and tile holes, trying to keep up with those before we start working on bigger projects.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've had like 30 come in already, so they're getting a couple a day, I guess. But it takes a while to always to load up and go to the next spot, unload, start over, figure out what parts you need, all that kind of stuff. I think that's all I have for today.
Trying to think if I had anything.
Whoever's blading the roads around Lake Mills is doing a great job.
Okay, there's a couple guys that,
I tried to see who it was, but I couldn't
Yeah.
tell.
yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned to you, but we had motor grader training with Brian Jackson Heavy Equipment last week. We got rained out one of the days, but we did have one day where they were in their machines, running it according to how he was teaching. And so I think it kind of gave the guys another tool in their toolbox.
Looks picture perfect.
Good.
The ones I looked at, that's great.
So we're gonna schedule him to come back and do some more training with us later in the summer too, so.
The only complaint I've had is not so much the quality of workmanship, but in the early part, like the first part of the day when everybody's trying to get to work,
Yeah,
they're not pulling over enough to get, so people can get by,
sure.
and they end up late for work because it goes quite a ways before they pull over.
Turn it the next mile. They need to turn it the next mile.
I mean, other parts of the day, maybe not so much, but the first part of the day,
Yeah,
it's good to let people go
so
by,
7 to 8 o'clock right in there, yeah.
or 9 o'clock. 8:30.
Okay. Number 4, resolution to accept a bid from Heartland.
First, I just wanted to cover the notice that we received from the DOT when the bids come back. Because Frank's here, I just wanted to read this, but it says, we have two choices as a board. The DOT has accepted bids on our behalf, but it's up to the board to choose whether or not to accept the bids. You can award the contract, but you're not supposed to have any discussions with the contractor prior to the contract being signed. The other option is to reject all bids, in which case we'll send notice to the DOT and basically move the project down the road. And the bid tabs will be destroyed, and as I've mentioned, those are confidential until a contract is awarded. So I just wanted to mention that. On top of that, I have sent you a lot of information. I can go over that just real quickly. You had questions about whether not awarding this project would jeopardize our farm to market funding. We have ours programmed basically to the max. So even if we don't do this project at all, we're no danger of losing any funding. So that's kind of not an issue. So that's good. I did a new engineer's estimate, I'll call it, based on April prices. And I think it's about 150,000 over April averages. And so I think, maybe 100,000 of the project costs you could attribute to small project size, full workloads, having our project too late in the letting schedule.
How much of that? 100?
100, I mean, pure guesses here.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell without rebidding it immediately. To save any of that money, I think we need to combine it with other projects or bid it earlier in the winter. The remaining $320,000 overage from my original estimate probably has more to do with labor going up and volatile oil and fuel markets. And we don't know where that's going to go, but to see any savings on that, we'd have to see markets decline. I included a history of how asphalt prices have changed over time. It isn't linear. It really jumps around a lot, just like fuel market does. And you also asked me what it would take to get this road by for a few years. Right now, the ride's a big problem, and if we slurry leveled it, like we have done in other roads, usually newer roads, but I think that would help it. And that would take about $50,000, and then patch it kind of as it falls apart. And I think that would be about $20,000 per year, depending on how many years we
Is
need
that
to get out.
materials only then, or is
No,
that
that's
labor and-
labor, and that's everything included. It's not something we do in-house, so we just hire somebody. And we have an asphalt patch project lined up for this summer, so we can add work to that if we need to. So I think the two options that we think are viable, accept the bid from Heartland and proceed with the bid, or reject all bids. And after that, there's a few steps. Spend maybe $70,000 to $90,000 on Band-Aid maintenance. We'd have to amend the budget to include that and take that from reserves. We found a project in Hancock County that is set to bid 2 years from now. That is similar work. It's on Airport Road, just past the county line. And we could potentially tie our project with theirs in 2 years. We'd need to put a 2080 agreement together between the two counties to outline who holds the contract, since it'll be a singular contract, and outline inspection duties and things like that. And so we would rebid January of 2024 or December of 2023 as a tied project. As a rule of thumb, I say that it takes about $10,000 to $12,000 per mile per year to own pavements. For 5 miles of this project over 2 years, that's about $100,000. So I think that's kind of where the break-even point is, where if we spend less than that, we're not just dumping money into an old road. We're prolonging the life without too much detriment. I think longer than 2 years, we really run the risk of having it in too bad a shape to fix. We drove it real slow and kind of looked at the problems it's having, and it's never been recycled before that we could find in records. So, all of the problems that have been developed over the life of the pavement for the last 70 years have just kind of worked their way up in the pavement. The sides are breaking off and creating potholes that are difficult to fix with pothole patch. So my concern is that we'll get to a point where we'll just have to do so much patching that, then we will be dumping good money into a bad road and spending more on maintenance than the construction would help us with. So I think I've found you two good options. Unfortunately, none of them are the engineer's estimate. At this point, I'm not sure which way I need to steer you. It's hard to spend more money than you think you should.
And
I hate
if we were to move forward with it, the money from the farm to market is there to cover all of it then?
Yeah. There now, it'll be there in 2 years. It really isn't too big an issue. Right now, we're taking more from it than I had originally planned, but it's there.
I drove it too, again, the other day, and I'm leaning towards, accepting the bid from Heartland, going forward with the project.
That's kind of where I'm at on it. I hate to see something get too far down the road, and we're counting on the economy changing and materials changing, and I don't think it's gonna get any better necessarily in the next 2 years, but I would like to see that.
I think as long as it's flat or slightly increasing, you don't have a lot to lose. If you see the same kind of increases again, then we would look bad, I think.
Billy, you got an opinion on this?
Well, you know me, I never understand. Yeah, no, I you gotta kind of bet on the future one way, and the other way is just kind of do what you gotta do right now.
Okay.
I don't have a problem going forward now, and I don't have a problem with
All right.
Can you translate that?
Well, I think he's in agreement.
He,
That's the way I understood it.
He doesn't have a problem
either way.
going forward, he doesn't have a problem waiting.
I think I convinced myself the same, that I don't have a problem doing either one. I think I found a surprisingly good option for delaying it, but again, I mean, we have that road out there, and if we want to provide a certain level of service, I don't know if we can really do that with maintenance.
And when I see those numbers and add them together that you're talking about, that's maintenance, it just, for me, it just makes sense to go ahead with the,
I don't like the idea of taking the money out of reserves to try to keep this road intact. Safe.
I don't either. We do have it. Our fund balance is probably the highest it's been since I've been here.
But there might be other things we can
Oh,
do.
definitely. Yeah.
there's always other.
That's a bigger
spots.
conversation that we need to have soon.
Oh,
It's my district, so I will make the motion to accept the bid from Heartland Asphalt in the amount of $1,678,204.64 for project number FMCO 95825595 of A16 R74 paving.
all right, I'll second the motion.
Duplicate resolutions.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Now we can talk to you.
Not until the contract's signed.
I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to bid the project, and I think Scott and the engineering department put a good project together. It's unfortunate that everything is up. I mean, I compare it to fertilizer for farmers. We can't predict the future. None of our suppliers will even indicate what they think it's going to be next year, so
That's the hard part.
it is. I do know labor costs and equipment costs will be up, but as far as fuel and PC binder, nobody's speculating right now. So it's hard to tell.
I'm looking at the current administration, I don't see it moving too fast.
But again, I appreciate it.
We live in very unusual times.
Yep.
Really hard to,
I like it when life was simple.
when was that?
I think I was a kid
Yeah,
30 years ago.
okay, well, we've,
We'll get those contracts back and forth, and
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
he's got Thea.
Number 5, consider for approval fiscal year 20.
We need to go to the 9:30 budget amendment,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
That's the proper order anyway, I think.
Yeah, I see that.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the fiscal year budget amendment.
I'll second that. Motion by Derby, seconded by Smith, to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'll take it back. They don't need to sign it.
Just when you think.
I know they're here.
You know I'm here too.
All right.
You count people on the phone too?
Yeah, I suppose. Who is on the phone? Just Bill?
Julie was.
I'm here.
We're taking head count for our public hearing.
Alrighty.
Anyone else? Besides Bill?
Bill?
Okay, so what's the details of the budget amendment then?
I have. Budget amendment for UR2 for change of loan amounts and transfers. Veterans Affairs for their full-time to part-time, vice versa. Treasurer's Office, salaries and miscellaneous. Township trustees for some benefits that someone is taking. Unemployment, IT for some benefits. Liability insurance, secondary roads. Roadside management for some chemicals, and Sheriff's Department for some vehicle and overtime.
So the overtime, is that covered by some federal grants then? Or? In the past,
No, the problem is that we've had some people in the hospital or from the jail, and so when they're in the hospital, they have to have an officer sit on them, and so when they have the officer sit on them, we also have to have somebody on the road, and causes a lot of overtime.
well, we don't want to lose a prisoner.
That wouldn't be cool.
At least we found that one. That was bad.
So do you just need do we get to look at those, or do you just need a motion?
I'd like to look at it.
I would like to too.
Sure. Whole mess of stuff there. They're really not in any particular order, sir, so.
So if someone was to ask in this amendment where the money would come from to cover the amendment, is it out of our cash reserves then?
Yep.
Did the treasurer's office get a new employee?
Not yet.
Are they short one?
They added one. She's been trying to do that for years.
I knew she'd been interviewing, I just didn't know if she
There's
got.
been changes coming down from the state and putting more burden on the office. I think that discussion started, about 4 years ago? We had it in there a couple of years at least, and then I think we pulled it out 1 year, and then we put it back in, and she hadn't done anything with it. Well, I'll make a motion. Did we have any comments from anybody online or anybody on the phone have any comments on the amendment? Well, in that case, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the budget amendment for fiscal year 22.
I'll second that, all in favor?
Aye.
If the phone gets up, I say aye too.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, that's probably you. It's not the phone.
Learned a whole new language, hasn't he? Consider for approval fiscal year 22 budget amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 22 budget amendment.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed.
And then could you stamp on the actual budget amendment approved, please?
I think there is no actual, you're right. Order.
No,
I was just trying to find it for him.
It's the, no,
Not that one?
this one. Thank you.
Does everybody have to sign that one though?
No, just you.
All right, so then we can go back up to number 5. Consider for approval fiscal year 2022 secondary roads budget amended. Number 1.
I gave you this form. It's output from the system. It's not very good at explaining the changes, so I can talk through that with you.
Okay,
The majority of the changes are switching maintenance work from construction dollars. We had originally budgeted construction dollars, but we did some seal coating and work that actually fed under maintenance. We're just moving money from one account to another, all of which equals about 0, with the one exception that we are increasing our new equipment budget by $161,000, and that was to use auction money from fiscal year 21 for some new equipment purchases in this fiscal year. So the net result of our budget amendment is $164,000.
And that equipment was what?
The mini hoe and the loader trade for backhoe and lake mills.
Good.
These numbers are the same as in Carla's numbers as well.
yep. I'll make the motion to approve the fiscal year 2022 secondary roads budget amendment number 1.
I'll second.
Motion by Smith and seconded by Derby. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passed. we have a consider for approval fiscal year 2022 county 5-year program resolution number 2.
So we have 2 projects scheduled for this summer, and they'll be paid from fiscal year 23 budget. In the program, 5-year program, we're supposed to program projects when they're let. And that would be fiscal year 22. We've already done that. So in order to kind of authorize that, we need to move those projects back in the program. And that's 2 of the projects, just moving G16N1 and G14W1 from fiscal years 23 and 24, both to fiscal year 22. The other project on here is the bridge north of the Buffalo Center shop, E9W1. And the change for this one is just switching it from swap dollars back to federal aid. And we talked about this a little bit in the way that the new bipartisan infrastructure law works. More federal funding's going to the state, and so they need their state dollars to match those federal dollars for themselves rather than doing it for the counties. So instead of swap money, we're now getting federal aid again. And federal aid for bridge projects has a local match. So instead of $500,000 of swap, it's now $400,000 federal aid and $100,000 of farm to market. Inconsequential to anybody else, but those of us here in the room who understand how the funding works.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022 county 5-year program resolution number 2.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 I should mention too, this doesn't affect any of our local budget funding.
It's called 0.2.
Number 2, 0.2.
I would name these better, but it's again exported from the system. I have control over that.
What's that?
I guess it sort of says
Number 2?
number
Number 2.2.
Signature on that.
Number 02.
sort of.
Signature on that one. And do you want copies of these?
Well, they say resolution, but
This one does. So I can send that to you. I can send them both to you.
I want to go back.
JPEG's easiest? Send them to JPEG.
yeah, I think so. I don't know, however, it's easy to get them in the minutes.
Can you stick around a minute, Scott?
Yep.
I think we want to go back to
I had a question on, there's a bridge up in Newton Township that is not going to be redone in the near future the way it sounds. And there's been some communication with the adjacent landowner about making a road along the ditch.
Yep.
And I guess the family of the person that the communication's going to is a little concerned. It almost sounds like threats.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And she's 95 years old or 96 years old.
Sure.
I think we need to communicate better, and I guess I'd like to know more about what your idea of what we're gonna do there is.
Sure. Sure. The bridge you're talking about, we would call it G17N1, I believe. So we're in section 17 of Newton on the north side, kind of toward the northeast corner. So this is a bridge that is pretty expensive to replace. It's on a level B road, and so we've been looking at other options.
What did it cost to replace the one next to her place?
About $410,000.
So it'd be similar, only updated costs.
Updated costs, possibly some savings if we did it locally rather than federal aid.
What was the sizing of that?
That was a twin 10 by 10.
Okay.
At the time, that was really the standard the DOT had. If we did it now, I think I would lean toward more a single barrel, a 14 by 14, and the DOT now has standards for that. It's at a 45-degree skew, which makes almost doubles the length. It's just a really expensive crossing. I wouldn't normally look into rerouting the road or the creek, but in this case, we can build less than a quarter mile of road and close the bridge and never need it. And so we thought, well, if we have a willing landowner, maybe that would be a better idea. So we did real rough cost estimates on what it would take to build a new road for a quarter mile. It's gravel road, so it doesn't need to be paved or anything like that. Even if we have to buy easements, we would have to buy easements for the road from the landowners. And unless you were going to try and use eminent domain, there shouldn't be any threats to the landowners, and they've indicated they're not interested, so I was planning to let that go. At this point, since it's not in the program, Mike, who I talked to, said at this point that if it needs to be closed, it'll just have to be closed and they'll work around it.
What's it rated right now?
I think it's at 6 tons, so we've gotten our initial report back from, not the report, but like the first notice that here's the bridges that have changed significantly since the last inspection, and it wasn't on that list. So it's possible that rating could stay the same this year. I haven't seen any go below 6. Would think at that point they would recommend we close it. So maybe it has a year or 2 or 3 left. Or maybe the posting can be lowered enough to keep anything but a pickup on it. 3 tons maybe. And we just see how long it can last. But it's really not serving the purpose that we want it to, farm traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty useless bridge right now. It's problematic because some years in our budget, we only have 100,000 planned for bridge replacements. It's come up with $500,000 from local money, and it needs to be local because the traffic volume so low it doesn't qualify for any funding. That we have to kind of pause everything else we're doing for a year or 2 in order to get that bridge replaced. It's a struggle, and if you do that, then 4 or 5 or 6 other bridges get pushed down the road. It's a real conundrum. That one's, particularly interesting in the whole county because of that case. So no, I was never pressuring them. What I told Mike is that I just wanted them to know we are interested if they are. And so I sent him a letter, and I can send it to you as well if you want to see what that looks like. And I thought Mike seemed comfortable with it, but I can.
It wasn't that family member they called. It was a different one.
Okay. I can send a follow-up letter, maybe kind of rehashing what Mike and I talked about, and let him know that we're not interested in pursuing eminent domain for that, and unless they're willing and interested to sell, then we won't be pursuing it any further. Yeah, 10, 20 years ago, maybe 20, 30 years ago, we were rerouting creeks and buying easements and trying to economize our bridge layouts so that 2 bridges close to each other we could make one out of, and that sort of thing. And maybe I'm taking a play out of that book, and just thought we got to look at all ideas and put them on the table. So that's unfortunate to hear that they felt threatened. Get something sent to her.
We use that road too, not for semis and stuff, but we like to stay off the main roads and do use that one,
Yeah.
So I know it pretty well.
Out there's a couple of bad bridges to kind of make you do that. You can't just choose any road you want.
We used to farm 600 acres out that way, and that was a main road for us,
Yeah.
half of it anyway.
Fortunately, there's a way in or out if you can go around if we have to close it. I mean, even now for the grain and heavy loads, they can go around it. It's just
Yep.
a pain.
Okay,
How much, if the ditch would have been perpendicular to the road, how much would that have saved? Is it a third more because of the angle?
I'd say at least. We'd have to figure it. The other part is it's really deep. So even if it were 90 degrees, we'd still have quite a barrel on it.
Right.
Because it's, I think, something like 19 feet from the top of the bridge to the flow line of the creek. You know, so every foot of depth, you have to add 2 or 3 foot of length to the barrel in order to get it all the way out to the toe of the slopes. You know, we have several box culverts that have 1 or 2 feet of fill over them, and you just got to get to the edge of the road. And, you know, those are much more economical to put in. You can cut that project in half or even in fourths sometimes. I'm not sure what the solution is for that one.
Okay. Thank you.
all right, thanks, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Auditor's Office will discuss drainage matters. Chris, have anything, you think?
Good question.
I do.
You do, well, good.
11.
Carla, could you scroll down on the agenda, please?
Sure.
And Chris, we're ready for you if you have time. Mhm.
Any input on the parking lot signs?
Do I want input? Probably shouldn't.
Well, you use parking lots.
Yeah, I guess my input's pretty consistent with my other sign input in that we already have 2 signs that say all the rules. And I don't think any more signs will help enforce that.
Well, that's where we differ. Hi, we're on
Hi.
drainage now.
Okay. I forwarded you the email from Sean Helgeson, so I did get estimates together for either,
I was on my phone looking at it and it wouldn't open up for me. What did we end up with on that?
53.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or so?
Yeah.
To make it
And
open.
then that was only 325 feet.
Oh,
So I also kind of just did the estimates for 450 feet, because he was thinking we were gonna maybe do a repair only for 325. So I still thought we were going with an engineer either way, because the capacity is still gonna be more. So I talked to him and I made a copy of the sheet, so I have one for 450 feet and one for 325.
was
Just
he
kind of
okay with
guesstimate.
that then?
Yeah, he said, yeah. But he's gonna try to get a hold of Gordy to make sure he can come next week. And I sent it to you and Ethan also, to make sure that we can just all be here and talk about it and decide what you guys wanna do.
Okay.
So, I added 15% for an engineer fee on top of what Helgeson sent.
Okay.
So I'd have both estimates for that.
I did go by the DD11 cleanup
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's done.
He has to go back and do some outlet pipes.
Okay,
I talked to Todd yesterday.
because the big hole is gone.
Yeah.
Probably bring a different one in for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he must have been contracted by somebody to do that little lateral to the north, because they got cleaned out too.
Okay, I don't know that answer.
The one that's just west of Lee.
Okay.
I know one other time, I can't remember which landowner it was contacted. They said they'd like to get that done, so they must have got a hold of
Okay, yeah. And I talked to B&W, and he had been out there to look at it, and he said, you know, there was still some shrubbery there left, and I called him again yesterday and said that they still needed to level it and seed it, so that a lot of that brush will be gone. He wouldn't get to it till midsummer anyway, so it should be good.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
I don't know if we're gonna tackle the Winnebago River. That's a long problem.
Number 10, set the public hearing for Master Matrix for Grant 27 site.
5/31/22. Whatever time you want.
9:30?
That works.
Anybody know what road that's on?
27.
It is in my office.
An expansion on the blacktop, or is it a new site, or
I don't know, you can, if, you can,
I'll poke my head in there.
yeah.
Hopefully it's on the blacktop.
That's the north side.
North side of it,
Well, no, that would be the north side, yeah, if it was on the block.
it's got blacktop on the, R20 is on the west side too.
You have a 50-50 chance.
Yep.
So we have a public hearing for Master Matrix for Grant 27 site on 5/31/22 at 9:30.
That was your motion.
Yes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. So Bill, did you hear that's Grant, you'll probably get contacted by the DNR?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, I have been in contact.
Is that because he's got it on like speakerphone,
Oh,
or
he's
is
got
it
it.
He's
just?
got a headset probably.
He's got it Bluetooth.
Sound funny, does it?
Yes.
you're still Bill.
So, sorry about that, I can't do much about it.
All right. Open your forum.
I'm just gonna let you know that when I'm talking to like the cities, the ones I've talked to, is I tell them, we wanna have a representative for that committee, for that council to recommend, but also have an alternate. So we can keep the process going. If somebody can't make it, maybe somebody can fill it and keep communication going.
I have the list that Lake Mills gave us.
Anything else for
Nope.
me?
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
So that's the new name. So, I knew that in that meeting, but I had forgotten it. Anything else for open forum? Okay. Discussion with possible action, RFP for public health building.
Just want to know who you want me to send them to.
The RFPs,
Mhm.
it'd be good to go through the auditor's office, I would think, or we were gonna do it, look to be here by Monday that day. pay, or,
No, who do you want me to send them to?
oh, distribute?
Yes.
No, I thought you meant to come back to.
No.
I would think we would probably work with the one that did the roof.
Yep.
and that,
Gary.
And,
Bergen Cram,
where are they out of?
Mason City.
Okay. And there's that one, Atura and Clear Lake, I was.
Atura, yep.
The one with Dean Snyder?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably some of the most local ones anyway. And do we send it to the Association of Architects then, or not? We don't have to. They'll pick it up anyway.
Mm-hmm. And then I have to send it to the paper.
Right. They'll pick it up from distributions. So I would say that's about all you have to send to.
Okay. Sounds good. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay. We don't need any motions on that or anything, do we?
No.
Discussion with possible action, new parking lot signs. Did Kevin get some?
No, what I wanted to say was there's only in the budget for 3.
Okay.
So what I was going to tell Chris was to table this until I could be here at the meeting to talk about this, because it got a little carried away last week when I listened to the meeting, and there's only in the budget for 3. So that's all I'm gonna order.
But are we going to accomplish what we want to accomplish by only having 3 signs?
Well, I think we can find out what happens with 3,
You can
but
always get more.
we don't have it in the budget to do any more than 3. And we're pretty tight in the budget at this point in the year. So I'm gonna start with 3.
Okay, and then maybe, yeah, we don't have to action anything because budget only allows for 3.
Right.
And then if after the 1st of July, we could, of course, I mean, in the next budget year, we can look at it and see how it's working, and we've already made a motion to do so many of them. So that would allow for the next budget to possibly do more if we need. All right.
Okay. So no action,
No, I just wanted to let you know that that's what,
that's fine. Yeah, we did spend an inordinate amount of time on that. Consider for approval auditors transfers.
There was one part here, when I was looking at the agenda, I'm going, was this last week?
Can we just do this again? Deja vu.
I apologize for not being here. I had an emergency that I needed to attend to last week, so would have saved us some time this week, but
So I'm calling into the meeting tonight, just so we're on all on the same.
so do you just want to call my cell phone?
I can call in, yeah, anybody, whoever,
Okay.
Let's call mine.
okay, at 6. I'll call in at 6 and we'll just put it on speaker. We'll probably be done in 15 minutes anyway.
Never know.
You never know.
Oh,
It's on the radio.
Well,
I'll also be calling in.
So maybe
And,
one of you should call me and one of you should call Terry. We should decide that ahead of
All
time.
right, Bill,
I can
you,
do conference.
Oh, we can.
I can call you both.
okay, at 6, do that.
I'll set up a conference with the 3 of us.
all right, and, I also, Jerry Block got back to me, and ACOG is not interested, so figure we got the hands full for that.
All right.
Not that it matters now.
Right,
That was on the,
Yep.
on the social service.
okay.
There you go.
Auditors transfers.
I'll make a motion to approve the auditor's transfers.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Oh, I guess we already did that. Auditors transfers are approved. Consider for approval canceling of old warrants.
3, and then they're identified in the bank reconciliation papers.
Oh.
The ones that are highlighted.
Dates on those were over 2 years ago. Total.
So Bill, what we have is old warrants totaling 9175, I think. Yeah, 9175 from over 2 years ago. 3 checks. So I'll make a motion to cancel the old warrants that never cashed.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Old warrants are canceled. Consider for approval payroll claims.
Let me see if she's got them ready.
So you-
Well, Bill, that's, unless you want to hang around some more, we're just on payroll now.
Okay, I'll jump off then.
Okay, nice seeing you.
Yeah, I look a lot better over the phone. Not too heavy.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yeah, I can, on my phone, I can do a conference call.
Has left.
They have better sound quality too. He'll probably still be on that.
Sounds like 4 cities so far. You've got the mayor and the administrator want to be on the advisory council. They're looking at their other places.
And then Beth Mattison from Rake.
How many
Is it
does,
Matthias or
Matthias,
Matthias?
I think it's
Matheson.
Matthias. Beth. And how many does Lake Mills?
Sorry, I forgot to give it to you.
And an alternate.
Thank you.
2 plus an alternate. There, 4 City 3 plus an alternate. But then we're looking at a rural one from 4 City, and we'll probably look at north of here somewhere, come up with a rural one.
Did you talk to Farm Bureau or?
No,
No.
I don't have, I thought I had Scott Anderson's phone number, and I don't.
I don't have it either.
He's busy right now. I need to probably get a hold of the office up there and talk to them about contacting somebody. I talked to the ambulance service. They were going to give us a name from 4 City, so.
Did you talk to the Lake Mills Ambulance Service?
Yes, yep. And I've not gotten a name from the ambulance service, but I got the names from the city.
Okay.
4 City had an upcoming meeting. They were going to discuss it.
We gotta put that together pretty quick. Did I send you the list from Lake Mills?
No, she sent it to me.
She sent it to you, okay.
That was from Dan, right? Dan sent it to the 3
Diane,
of us.
yes. Oh, she did send it to everyone. thought it was gonna take a lot longer today.
Oh. Just a second. Yeah, it's one of those agendas that looks long, but it really wasn't that long. Yeah, at first I wasn't sure if the guy sitting in the back of the room was from Hancock County Public Health
Or DOT or Heartland, or I wasn't sure either.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll claims.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. We stand adjourned.